All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to explore a really fascinating idea from our source material. The idea that every single one of us has a set of secret, soul-level superpowers just kind of waiting for us to figure them out.
So let me just ask you straight up. Do you have secret superpowers? Well, according to this material, the answer is a huge, definite yes. But we're not talking about flying or reading minds like in the comic books. No, this is something way deeper, something that's woven into the very fabric of who you are. So let's explore what that really means.
You know our 5 physical senses, right? Sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. The usual suspects. They're how we get around in the physical world. But the source says there's a whole other toolkit, our mystic senses. These are the senses of your soul, and they're designed to pick up on all the unseen energies and hidden realities that our physical body just can't detect.
Okay, so here's our roadmap to get a handle on all this. First, we're going to talk about what these superpowers actually are. Then, we'll look at the 3 different worlds where we're apparently using them all the time. We'll also cover the illusions and traps you need to avoid, the help that's available, and finally, what the source calls the ultimate goal of Soul School.
So, let's get into it. The whole way this is framed is that our life here on Earth is like a soul school. And the main class we're all enrolled in, it's learning how to master these unseen abilities, the ones that go way beyond our everyday physical senses.
So what exactly are these abilities? Well, they're defined as unseen energy forces. But here's the kicker, the really important part. These powers aren't just given to you. Nope. They have to be earned. And the way you unlock them is by consciously, deliberately filling your soul with virtues. Things like wisdom, courage, patience, and compassion. And I love this analogy for these powers. It's perfect. Think about a sledgehammer. In the hands of a skilled builder, it creates amazing things. But in the hands of someone who just wants to smash stuff, it causes total destruction. The tool itself is neutral. Its effect, whether it's good or bad, depends completely on the person wielding it. So, you've got these powers, but where do you use them? This is where things get really wild. The source material says that we are constantly creating, not just here in the physical world, but across 3 different planes of existence, all at the same time. Now, if you're thinking, whoa, hold on, 3 worlds, that sounds pretty complicated. Well, you're not alone. The character Evelyn in this source text basically says the exact same thing. It's a totally natural reaction, so let's break down what these 3 worlds actually are. First up is the one we all know, the physical world. This is our home base, the reality we can see, touch, and measure. In terms of energy, it's described as being this middle-range frequency, the little sliver of the light spectrum that our human eyes are built to see. Then, above the physical, you have the etheric plane. This is a high-frequency, heavenly world. And a really cool way to think about it is like a spiritual savings account. Every virtuous thought, every kind action, cha-ching, you're making a deposit. You're building a beautiful reality that's waiting for you. It's also where the graduated masters are said to live. And then, below the physical, there's the astral plane. If the etheric is your savings account, this is like your spiritual debt. It's a low-frequency, kinda hellish world that gets created from all our non-virtuous energy, our anger, our fear, our selfishness. It's described as this dark, fantasy-like space that can actually trap a soul. So why don't we see these other 2 worlds all the time? Well, the source has another great analogy for this. It's like watching a huge blockbuster movie, but the sound is completely muted. You can see the physical action on screen, but you're missing the dialogue, the musical score, the sound effects, all the other layers of the experience. To perceive those layers, you need a different set of senses, your mystic senses.
Of course, this whole journey isn't just a walk in the park. There are definitely challenges. So this next section is all about the major obstacles and illusions we need to watch out for. Specifically the dangers of that astral world and the trap of what's called chemical happiness. Yeah, the astral plane is painted as a seriously dangerous place. It's not just a bad neighborhood, it's a corrupted fantasy world built on selfishness. It's home to these deceptive beings called tempters, and it can supposedly trap a soul for what feels like 1,000 years. The source gives a very clear warning. Deliberately trying to travel there can lead to you bringing back some nasty, energetic parasites called astral vampires. Yikes! The other big trap is a lot more subtle. It's the chase for happiness itself. The source makes this really sharp distinction between 2 kinds. On one hand, you've got chemical happiness, those quick, fleeting spikes of pleasure from hormones like dopamine.
And on the other, you have mystic feelings, which are described as true, sustainable peace and joy that flow from your soul.
And Evelyn just hits the nail on the head here. Chasing after those little chemical highs is like trying to get a tan in the middle of winter. You might feel a brief moment of warmth, but then it's gone, and you're just left cold, waiting for the next tiny burst of sun. It's just a torturous cycle of hope and letdown.
But here's the good news. You're not just left to figure all this out and navigate these traps by yourself. The source material is really clear that every single student in this soul school has access to guidance from those who've already aced the course.
So who are these guides? They're called the Masters. Basically, they're former students of this Earth school who have already graduated. They teach and guide from the safety of that heavenly etheric plane, and they have these huge reserves of mystic energy to help us out. But, and this is a big but, there's a strict rule. They won't interfere unless you give them permission.
So how do you get their help? The source lays out a pretty clear 4-step process. It all starts with studying their teachings, and then you have to actually practice their lessons. You have to live them. Through that hard work and discipline, you earn their trust. And then, the final, crucial step is to consciously give them permission to help you. That's what allows them to sponsor you with more advanced guidance.
And this brings up what might be the most critical skill of all, discernment. With so many false teachers and misleading ideas out there, especially coming from the astral plane, being able to tell truth from deception is everything. As Evelyn puts it, without discernment, we are walking blind among the beasts.
Okay, so all of this, mastering your abilities, navigating the worlds, avoiding the traps, it all leads to the final goal of the whole process. The ultimate mission of your time here in Soul School is to build something permanent, something eternal.
And this something is called the solar body. The best way to think of it is as a permanent suit for your soul, one that doesn't wear out and fall apart like our physical bodies. And what's it made of? It's literally woven together from the virtues you spent your life mastering. According to the source, you absolutely cannot graduate without it.
And really, this is the attitude you've got to have. Evan's conclusion just captures the whole spirit of the journey. The opportunity in front of us is huge. But it's not a passive thing. It demands that we actively use our free will and our willpower. It requires us to be ready to roll up our sleeves and get to work.
So, we'll end this explainer with a question for you to really think about. If every single thought, every word, and every feeling is like a brick you're using to build your own future in all three of those worlds, then what kind of reality, what kind of world are you creating for yourself right now?